And I care about people a lot. And my relationships are super important to me.
What is your diagnosis?
Yeah, I have POTS, or otherwise known as postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And it is a disorder of the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system controls things like heart rate, breathing, that kind of stuff. If you break that down, postural meaning upright, orthostatic means your blood pressure drops as you stand, and tachycardia means the heart rate is like going fast. So my heart, it's not regulated in the way that other people's are. So when I stand up, go from sitting to standing, my heart rate really skyrockets. Whereas other people's heart rates without POTS, goes up some, but not an extreme amount. And their blood pressure typically doesn't vary a whole lot. Whereas with POTS, your blood pressure can go down, which can make you feel really dizzy, can make people pass out. And so it affects a lot of daily life, whether it means just like getting ready, or walking. It can make you very fatigued because your heart's working faster than a typical person's. So that's my diagnosis and a little bit about what that actually means.
Is somebody born with POTS, or do they acquire it?
Yeah, so most people I know acquire it in like the teen ages, and some people just have a difference of the autonomic nervous system, and then some people have secondary POTS, which means there's a disorder of the autonomic nervous system because of some other reason. And so for me, that other reason is that I've had an eating disorder since I was a really young girl. And so I had a disorder called in the Diagnostic Statistical Manual back then, it was called EDNOS, eating disorder not otherwise specified. Now it would be considered ARFID, which is avoidant restricted food intake disorder. So that means I was really, really picky. I had a lot of sensory aversions to food, just like a general disinterest in eating, never felt hungry. And then also like fear of like adverse consequences. So I have like fears of like choking or getting sick and things like that when I was younger, especially. And so because of the severity of my eating issues, I stunted my growth. I delayed the onset of puberty. I have low bone density, and then also cardiac-wise, my heart was also compromised from having the eating disorder for as long as I have. And so while we don't know for sure why I got POTS, we're pretty confident that it was the disordered eating and the malnutrition from years and years of having that. And that's why, there became a disorder. And so some people for their secondary POTS can be other reasons, but that's why I have POTS. So I was diagnosed formally last year, and it has been pretty significant. My fatigue and tiredness is pretty extreme. It's been pretty limiting on day to day. I used to be like a huge runner, and that's my favorite thing in the whole world. I can't run anymore. Every morning kind of feels like I'm doing a workout just by getting ready. Like I'd say like the hardest part of the day is generally just like getting going, waking up, getting dressed, brushing my teeth, because my heart rate from, sleeping all night and being flat and then getting up, it's a real shock to my system. And things that I didn't think about, like, for example, like doing laundry and chores. Like when you think about like carrying laundry up and down the stairs, it's like my heart already gets angry walking upstairs, right? And so you add in things like laundry or carrying things when your heart's beating really fast and you're feeling really dizzy. It just can make like kind of situation where you're compromised and kind of feel like you're gonna faint. I take a lot of medication. So I take blood pressure medication, I guess 3 times a day, and then a heart rate medication to lower my heart rate twice a day. And again, just being a really active person and going from that to this, it's not what I would have hoped for myself. That's for sure. Yeah.
You talked about a lot of stuff you hate.
Yeah.
She did good. Yay.
Who is this, Gabby?
This is Mel. Sister.
That's me.
Mel, how would you describe?
Oh my gosh, my twin. Well, one question I liked earlier is you asked, like, what do you want the world to know about you? And like, I think as a twin, I see her from like a much different lens than other people, but she's extremely empathetic. She's compassionate. She's caring. She takes care of everybody like in her life, like before herself. She puts everybody else first, not in a like bad way, but she just cares so much. And, we kind of like, you heard about like the side of her like diagnosis and her illness. And like, I think it's really important that people know, like, she like, not was a runner, because she's going to keep being a runner, but she's so many things like other than her illness. And she's my best friend and I love her so much. And we have lived together like our whole life until she left me for her fiance. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's true. But
Yeah.
Gabby, tell me about Buddy.
oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about you. All right, so Buddy is my fiance, newly fiance, and we've known each other for 3 years. Buddy is super caring, super empathetic. He is so down to earth. He's an IT man. He does computers and stuff. And it's so much more than that for him. He like is just such a helper. Like for him, it's not just fixing computers. It's about like the interactions and like helping people through problems and stuff like that.
Feel free to correct me if I don't use the right terminology here. This aren't really my expertise.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a lot of your fears with eating isn't body issues, but actually choking or something being wrong with the food?
Yeah, and yeah, that's kind of a good point. So when we think about like restrictive eating disorders, there are a lot of different types of eating disorders out there. A lot of people kind of think of restrictive eating disorders first, and kind of someone who's emaciated or like anorexia first. And there are a lot of different eating disorders, like I said. And so the difference between ARFID, which was my original diagnosis, and anorexia is that, yes, they're both restrictive, but ARFID, it has nothing to do with body image. It's a restrictive disorder, and people restrict because there's either a general disinterest. There are 3 subtypes: general disinterest in eating, sensory issues, or fear of the consequences. So that choking, throwing up, that kind of thing. And so mine definitely started out with that ARFID side of things, of like, it wasn't body image related. It wasn't about how I looked or how other people perceived me. It was really about like just having a hard time, like feeling like eating was a chore. And just being afraid of trying new foods and having a very limited palate.
When you were first experiencing symptoms of restrictive eating, did your sister help you at all, or did you even know?
So like, I guess she talked about like pretty early, like falling off the growth chart. And so I don't think I was helpful for a while. Like, it was kind of like we'd go to a restaurant and like we'd both get like a burger and fries, and she would make sure that I had more fries than she had. She would take growing up. So that was an interesting dynamic. But I don't think that I was particularly like helpful. Like, I don't think I understood what was going on. Like, until like her health issues became more like visible and like physical. It's hard when you like grow up next to someone you don't really like see it until it gets like really bad, like, you know, ER bad, like at least for me.
Look, like I've done significant damage to my body in a lot of ways. And so I think, again, like that reality check of like, do you want to be in the ER all the time? Do you want to have another feeding tube? Do you want to be in a wheelchair? And for me, those answers are absolutely not. I will never want to go back to that. And so I can't say that I'm 100%. I never struggle. I think it is a daily struggle and a daily choice. But I am doing significantly better right now than I have in a while. And I'm thankful for my supports, and I'm thankful that, I've had the opportunity to get treatment.
What was it like for you to see throughout your life together, Gabby have some of the more severe symptoms she's experienced?
Yeah, that was all. Thanks, like it's definitely been really hard. Like it's definitely been like for the long haul, you know, like this isn't something that happened yesterday or a year ago, or like it's been a really long time. So it's definitely like hard to like see her like struggle as much as she has. And it definitely like I mean, it affects no one more than it affects her, but like it does affect people around her.
Have you learned to better manage your restrictive eating today?
Yeah, I'm doing so much better. Yeah, I'm doing so much better. As far as kind of like the RFID diet stuff, I'm working with a dietitian. So like, again, like those sensory things of like feeling, like being afraid I'm gonna like choke on the water, get the water in my lungs and aspirate. Like I've kind of worked through that. So like telling myself I'm safe, like I am okay. How many times have I drank water, and how many times have I like choked or choked beyond repair, right? Like never. And so I think kind of like fact checking my fears has been helpful.
Listening to you describe some of the thoughts you have internally when it comes to RFID almost reminds me of OCD in a way.
Yeah, I also have really severe OCD. So, that's actually like pretty common with RFID to have those OCD tendencies. And I think a lot of people, when they think of OCD, they think of like hand washing, right? Like, or like checking the doors, which yes, I do. I make sure everything's locked and the appliances are off and everything like that. But it also can be like mental compulsion. So it's like, if I don't, wash this enough, or if I don't, if I eat before a certain time, something bad could happen. So I'm gonna do something to like my habit to counteract. The compulsions don't have to be something physical, it can be mental as well. So there's definitely with RFID a lot of those compulsive thoughts and behaviors that I kind of navigate on a day-to-day basis as well. Yeah.
Can you see Gabby's OCD from the outside?
It's blinding.
Yeah,
definitely.
Get your
glasses on. So she has just a lot of like very obvious like physical ones. So like she likes to be even. That's been something she's always like, been really important to her, whether it be like even things in the household or evenly being touched. Just that's a big one for you. What else is?
Yeah, I mean, like there are parts like as far as kind of like the symmetry and evenness, like when it was really bad when I was younger and like I first started driving, like if I ran over in the car like a pothole or something, like I would like swerve and try and hit. Like,
Oh yeah, she'd like
there.
come. We'd have to loop back to make sure.
Yeah. Oh, like
it was just a pothole.
Or I'd
Yeah.
be like fearful that like I hit someone, and I'm like, oh my god, like I ask for reassurance a lot. I feel like.
Definitely.
Um,
We both do though.
Yeah.
Like that's like also a great part about like being a twin, because it's like I understand, like I would say, yeah, that's like the OCD, how it manifests a lot is like I'm her person to give like reassurance, because she just like knows that I like I don't get everything, but I get that. Like I get your brain telling you things that aren't quite like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like basically that it's not right,
reality.
Yeah, like it's not reality. And so I definitely like live in my own brain and have those issues. So it's nice to have somebody that's like going through like her own stuff that I can.
And what I will say is like a mental health clinician is like reassurance with OCD is you might think you're being helpful, but in fact you're sometimes like exacerbating the OCD or kind of like allowing that pattern to continue. So while the reassurance temporarily makes the person with OCD feel better, in the long term, it's not always the best, and it's hard to watch someone struggle when they, aren't getting that reassurance.
Yeah.
But just keep that in mind,
Yeah.
I would say.
Is it validating the compulsion?
Yes, exactly.
It's funny as a clinician, like working with people who have like mental health challenges for GAP, like she knows all these things, yet like it's natural to want the reassurance, but she'll tell you, she'll say, don't reassure me, like let me just process and figure it out. So she has these two little sides of her brain talking at all times, for sure.
Yeah.
Buddy, what happened first? Did you notice her symptoms of OCD, or did she tell you that she has OCD?
I think you were pretty forthcoming with saying that you had OCD, but I think it's something that I think one of the reasons that like you told me about it was like I probably like touched your shoulder on one side and you were like, oh, do you mind doing the other side or something like that?
Do you believe something will happen if one shoulder is touched but not the other?
I feel like something bad's gonna happen. Like something, I just don't feel right. Yeah.
Not that this would probably be cruel, but would it be good practice if somebody just touched your shoulder and then made you live with it? Is that like...
Yeah, I do that. Like, for example, I shook your hand when you came in, but like, I've been thinking about that. I shook with your right hand. At some point in my life, I would have like run and like, buddy, shake my left hand, or like, Mel, shake my left hand. But yes, I'm thinking about that we shook hands and that, and I'll probably ruminate on it a little bit later in the day. But I'm able to resist some now.
What does it feel like having that obsession?
You can see the discomfort in my face. It's like, oh gosh, like, I guess it's a little bit of, like, again, like discomfort and just kind of like this anxious energy, that like something's not right. But again, and like what Mel said, there's a balance of like reassurance. I think in this case, it's fine to tell myself, hey, yes, I shook hands with Chris, or yes, I was cutting the watermelon with one hand earlier. It's okay. Like, that's normal. People don't like shake hands with two hands. Like, like it's okay. And so I think that's kind of, despite the discomfort, it's also like, let's reality check this. Like, are we gonna spend all day thinking about how I shook hands with one hand with Chris? Or are we gonna move on and have a good day and like go do a weekend? And I rather do what I planned than ruminate on shaking one hand. And I'll probably think about it a lot today, but again, like, is that how we want to spend our day? No.
With OCD, do you tend to have the same obsessions or do they alternate?
I mean, I feel like, I forget the movie that's like, they wake up every day, it's the same day.
50 First Dates.
What was it called?
I was going to say Groundhog's Day.
Oh, Groundhog's Day. Yeah, like that's kind of what OCD feels like to me, of just like, I have the same cycle of thoughts every single day. I know like there's like statistics out there about how many different thoughts people have like in a day, and they're like, wow, that's astounding.
I'm 20. It's the same thing over.
It's kind of like a broken record. It's like the same worries, the same thoughts all day, every day. And I think there's probably different levels of experiences of OCD. Actually, I know that, but like different levels of severity and things like that. But that's what it's like to me. And I don't know, Mel also struggles with those tendencies, so I don't know
Yeah.
if that's, would you?
I don't know
agree with
how
that?
I mean, yeah, it's pretty predictable. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I always say I like consistency, like, got it with OCD. But I think like the reality, I get better at reassuring myself, you know, like the more work I do and stuff, we keep talking about reassuring each other, but like the more you work on it, like you can dial it back in your head or just kind of know at the current moment that's the present reality, and like it might change, you might like get over your fear of cliffs or whatever, or you might not, but you just got to kind of like tell yourself like, oh, like I'm not gonna jump off a cliff, like I'm gonna, you know, just kind of like justify, like I don't know.
Yeah.
Usually you do good at finish my
Yeah, I mean, I
sentences.
think it's just also like the recognizing that's the OCD talking. Like
Yeah,
you don't
thank
need,
you.
even need to necessarily like answer it or like provide a solution of like, oh no, you're not gonna, you know, jump off the cliff or whatever. Just saying, oh, that's my OCD thought, and trying to move on with
Label
being
it.
present with
Yeah.
like the person you're with or the activity you're doing.
Mel, have you been diagnosed with OCD too?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, so we share like a lot of like diagnoses and stuff. I don't have POTS. I had like restrictive eating as a kid, but it was never like as severe as like hers and stuff. So definitely like deal with my own mental health stuff, and some of it's been minor, some of it's been less minor. So, but yeah.
Can you tell when she's struggling with symptoms of OCD?
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And it comes in waves, you know. It's like it's not I think and this is the way it is with most mental health stuff, is there are dips and valleys, or dips and I don't even know, dips and mountains. There are good times and bad times, and you know, as you go through life, you like learn to recognize the dips and the mountains when they're good, and you know, you kind of learn to roll with the punches.
How young were you when your symptoms for the eating disorder started?
Yeah, so that's also a good question. I don't remember a day in my life where I didn't have feeding or eating issues. So like my whole life, I had a lot of unrealistic fears about food. So I thought, you know, if I smelled food, I was actually like eating it or ingesting it. So I felt like full, and I felt kind of like sick. I also, you know, had a lot of anxiety around food. So like if someone brought like cupcakes in for like a school birthday party or drinks or something like that, I always thought they contaminated, or like there were poisoned or something like that. So I wouldn't participate. Like I wouldn't eat cupcakes. I wouldn't eat the birthday treats. So I remember that in, you know, early in elementary school, and being a little kid. But I guess like when my doctors kind of look back at my growth curve, at age 9 was when I completely fell off the curve, and you know, probably should have been diagnosed at that age, but the diagnosis came a little bit later when the symptoms of like not hitting puberty were more apparent. Yeah.
What is it like to know that POTS was caused by restrictive eating?
Yeah, I think I've kind of beat myself up a lot about that. I mean, first off, I'll say eating disorders aren't a choice. I don't think anyone wakes up or grows up saying, like I really want this, right? Like that's not how it works. But I've definitely beat myself up for some of the physical consequences of the eating disorder. For example, the low bone density that I have herniated back discs, which can cause a lot of back pain and has limited my exercise some. And you know, I've had a lot of health consequences, whether it's like GI related or the POTS. And I think it's like, you know, you sometimes wish you could go back and I wish I knew what I knew now back then, but you can't go back. But I guess like to me, it's really important to kind of educate others about this, because I know, I guess you don't know, but I'm confident that if I was diagnosed with my eating disorder at a younger age and started getting treatment and help for it, I don't think I would have necessarily POTS or some of the other health consequences I have. So I guess it kind of makes me a little sad that this is where things are. But again, like, it is what it is, and I think all I want to do is move forward and make the most of life.
Can you tell me about some of the similarities and differences between how OCD impacts each of you?
Yeah. Like,
I know.
where do you begin on that one?
I know.
I mean, I guess I have a lot of more kind of external OCD symptoms. So like you'd be able to see mine more than hers. I know I talked about kind of like the mental compulsions. I feel like a lot of times your OCD is more internal, whereas mine is like, if you touch me on one side, I want to be touched on the other side. I'm door checking. I'm asking sometimes at work to go back home because I need to check the appliances or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I think some of mine is, or like you'll see, like if I touch a doorknob, sometimes I go back and touch the other, and sometimes I get a
eat.
Oh yeah, I like will eat something with one hand and then the other and then together.
And that's not mine, like, whatsoever. I think I have more of like the storytelling, like OCD, that's more kind of like repeated stories or just like making up these things that could possibly happen that aren't gonna happen, you know.
Buddy, what advice do you have for somebody who is struggling to be supportive of their partner who has mental health disorders?
It's that's an interesting question. I feel like there's a lot of different pieces to it, but I think a big part of it is like recognizing when you personally as a partner don't have the capacity to like be there in that moment. Like sometimes me as a partner, like I'll recognize that sometimes like I'm just like not capable in this moment and I just need to, take a step back, go for a walk around the block and then come back. That's a big thing. And then I also think recognizing when to push and then when to step back. And I think it's a difficult balance a lot of times. If you don't feel like you're doing something right, like I think one of the keys is just communicate. Like just ask, like how can I help you better? I think communication is